Hey, folks, welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. Once again, Mobile Geezer coming to you. And as we do every Friday, we get together and talk about some stories from the past week. And we've got two of our very faithful regulars in here. Eleanor was the first one in. Said just stop by to say hello and I hope everybody has a great weekend. And very grateful that she came in. And then Brian showed up not very long after. And Brian, we missed him last week. He wasn't able to make it, but he's so faithful. He goes the next day and he gives me a donation on Saturday because he missed the show. The guy is so faithful. It's unbelievable. And of course, he gave me one today, as he always does. So very, very faithful. Don't know who else is watching. If you're new here, please type something in the comments and let us know you're watching. And we do this every Friday night at this time. So come stop by. We're live at the same time on StreamYard and both of my Facebook IDs. You can either go to George Hazel on Facebook or Mobile Geezer on Facebook. All three are simulcast at the same time. Just before I started tonight, I found out now we can stream live to Instagram, and I did try, but I didn't have time to get into how to set it up properly. I think I might have gotten it started, and then I killed it. So hopefully next week we'll be streaming live to both Facebooks and YouTube and Instagram all at the same time. But as we do every week, we're going to talk about stories from the past week. There was nothing earth-shaking this week, but as I usually do, I try to pick stories that I think are interesting. Maybe a lot of people have showed and written about, and I try to find a few stories that you may not have seen in other places. Pardon me. And not sure if Will's going to stop by. Of course, he does occasionally stop by. And Ted came by last week, for which I'm always grateful when he's here. So if he can make it again, that would be great. I will certainly let you know if either of them show up. And I'm sure Mike is outdoor dashing. Every week, I put the show notes on my website. So let me share screen on that and show you where that is. Okay, so if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on today's date, and you click on today's date, it gives you just the stories for tonight. So while we're here, as I do every week, oh, wait, who's here? I can't tell who's here. I don't know who that is. Well, I'm sure they'll let me know when they're ready. But in any case, all right, we're going to preview the stories. So tonight we're going to talk about, there's a commercial, I gather a series of commercials out with Google and with the Pixel and iPhone together. I didn't even know about it, but I gather this commercial is going to be showing this weekend. So we'll talk about that. I said Google has iPhone and Pixel 8 Pro as best friends in a feature drop ad. That'll be on Phone Arena. So we'll take a quick look at that. And then this, to me, was one of the heavier things that happened this week. Tesla making impressive progress developing its humanoid robot. So this is their latest iteration of Optimus Gen 2. So we'll take a quick look at that. Oh, in both of the first two stories, I don't think we'll put it in reader view because I want to try to play the video in both cases. And I think I can play the first one with the commercial so you guys can hear it. So after that, then I said, Epic couldn't beat Apple, but has seemingly triumphed over Google. So they seem like they won their case against Google. Of course, Google is trying to pursue it, but it looks like Epic may have won this one. So we'll talk about that. This I just threw in here. Ford Super Duty rescues a Cybertruck. I just happened to see the video. I'm going to show you that video also. It's just a few seconds, but after all the hoopla about the Cybertruck getting released, well, it was just trying to come up a hill where it had picked up, I guess it just had a Christmas tree on the bed, and the steepness of the hill would not allow it to get up. So this Ford Super Duty pulled him out of there. So I just thought that was funny. Like I said, it's only a few seconds. And then everybody knows that I'm all excited about the OnePlus 12, and today we got the date that's going to be released in the US and around the world on January 23rd. So everybody knows I'm all excited about it. Well, it's already got some problems since it was released in China, and that's on Digital Trends. So we'll talk about that. So I'll admit it has problems. Will it stop me from getting it? Probably not. And then both Google and Apple may be forced to give governments, I said ours and others, not just our government, your push notifications data. So kind of serious stuff there as far as privacy. And the last story, FBI says avoid public phone charging stations because you can get infected that way. So we'll go over those. Now, I told you before, somebody was in, and now they're not. So it didn't show me whether it was Ted or who it was, or Will maybe. I had no voice, no face, and no ID. So I don't know who it was for sure. Of course, I send it to Mike and Will and Ted every week. So I guess it had to be one of them. But if whoever it was, comes in, I will certainly let you know. So, let me stop screen for a minute. Brian said, OnePlus 12 has some hype because the OnePlus Open was so good. Yes, and I didn't bring it with me today to work. But yes, the OnePlus Open, I'm back on the OnePlus train again. Heck, my secondary phone today was the Nord N30. So I'm very much back on the OnePlus train that I had been off since the OnePlus 7 Pro. Brian said, yeah, I don't use public USB ports, just a regular charging brick for me. And that's exactly what the article says to do. So we'll get to that. As we know, Brian's a smart man, obviously. So until whoever it is comes back, we will go and start with tonight's story. So I'm going to share screen again and back to my webpage. And the first story is Google has iPhone and Pixel 8 Pro as best friends in feature drop ad. That's on Phone Arena, so we're going to go there. Like I said, I'm not going to put it in reader view because I'm going to try to play the commercial, and hopefully I think you guys should be able to hear it when we get there. So, Google's latest iPhone and Pixel ad discusses feature drops and AI. That's true, they do. And basically, the two phones are talking to each other as best friends, no less. So if you're a phone enthusiast, there are no better commercials on television right now than Google's Best Phones Forever Sports, I guess it meant spots, that use stop action to bring to life the friendship between iPhone and Pixel. Both phones have even been updated to their latest models, and you'll see because the Pixel 8 Pro's temperature sensor, you can see in there. And while the ads are for Pixel 8 line, there's nothing outright mean or outrageous said, so they really are playing them off as best friends. The latest installment, so I get that there are multiple commercials here. I haven't seen any of them, but I watch very little television still. The latest installment of the ad is titled Snow Phones, which is appropriate since our two stars are singing a Christmas song with the heaviest dose of auto-tune ever since Cher's Do You Believe? Both have built snow phones of themselves with buttons used for the camera lenses on the full iPhone and Pixel. After Pixel comments on iPhone singing, the iOS-powered handset says, "I can't help it, Pixel. Out on a beautiful day with my best friend. I'm just so happy you could finally take some time off." And this is all in the commercial, and you'll see it. We're coming to it. After Pixel asked iPhone to clarify, the latter handset says that Pixel is working too hard. Every time I turn around, you're announcing one of your shining new feature drops, and that's what the commercial's all about. And iPhone also points out that the Pixel 8 Pro just became the first phone to get Google's new Gemini AI model. That's true. The Pixel 8 Pro will get Gemini Nano. I think we talked about that a little bit last week. A reduced version of its large language model that will enhance the auto summation feature in the Recorder app and the smart reply feature in the Gboard app. Right now, the only phone that gets that Gemini model is the Pixel 8 Pro, nothing else yet. This is part of the December feature drop. So I'm going to kill my earphones, at least I'm going to try. And then I'm going to try to play this commercial to let you guys hear it. So let me disconnect my earphones. And I think you guys should be able to hear this commercial when I play it. I'll turn it up. So here we go. You see the make it snowing. So all in all, I thought that was a pretty cool commercial. Let me get my earphones hooked up again. But I don't know what you guys thought of the commercial. Hopefully you could hear it okay. But I thought that was a pretty good commercial. Oops. What did I do? Okay, there we go. So let me get back to comments here. Oh, Ryan said the audio wasn't. I thought the audio would come through when I disconnected my earbuds. But okay, so you guys can go out and look for that commercial. I just thought it was a very cute commercial. So they told you what it was going on in the first part, so I'll just read the rest of the article. After Pixel admits that the AI feature is too cool, iPhone responds, "Yes, it's too cool. Didn't anybody tell you that after our fall launches, we get to be like our buddies here, the snow phones, and just chill? After some nonsense from both iPhone and Pixel, we get the tagline, feature drops all year long," and I'm sure you saw that. And there is the post tagline scene that shows both phones making snow angels, which I thought was pretty cute. This was not the wittiest, funniest, or I guess he meant most interesting yet in the series, but these commercials do have a huge following among both Apple and Google users. I had no idea. You'll certainly see this ad on television as soon as this weekend doing NFL, NCAA football, and basketball telecasts. And I seldom have time to watch a full game of anything. I didn't even have time to watch the full game of my Raiders last night, and I turned it on, and it was like second quarter, and it was like 48-0 0 against, I think it was the Chargers, and I couldn't believe it. And then the Chargers in the second quarter scored once, and I'm like, okay, can the Raiders mess this kind of lead up? But I turned it. I checked it this morning. They had won 63-21, which doesn't even sound like a pro football score. But I was very shocked, very surprised, and very pleased that my team, who usually loses all the time, could win a game like that. So pretty interesting stuff. Okay. Brian said, okay, yeah. Brian said he did check out the commercial on YouTube. It was funny. I just thought it was a very cute commercial. It was a nice little cute thing to start the show with. So nobody has come back in as yet. So I will certainly let you know if somebody does. Wait a minute. So let's go back to sharing screen and we'll move on to the next story. And once again, this one, I'm not going to put it into reader view, but I will play you the video. And you don't have to hear it. It's just seeing it that counts. And it's a pretty short one. So Tesla making impressive progress developing a humanoid robot. So this is on Ars Technica. So let's go take a look. Tesla unveils its latest humanoid robot, Optimus Gen 2, in demo video. Tesla says its new prototype is 30% faster, 10 kilograms lighter, and has sensors on all fingers. So I gather it wasn't so hot before, but it looks pretty good right now. On Tuesday, Tesla released a demo video showing the latest version of its prototype humanoid robot, Optimus Gen 2. Over 1 year after Tesla's first Optimus robot demonstration, which showcased shaky robots that waved and slumped over. I didn't see those last year. Things have apparently progressed quite a bit, assuming that the video accurately reflects the technology. Everything in this video is real, no CGI. And the reason they're bringing it up is because in Google's AI presentation, I get that they were kind of faking some stuff to make them look good, and everybody knows it now. All real time, nothing sped up, incredible hardware improvements from the team, wrote Tesla senior staff software engineer Julian Ibarz on X. So, after a recent episode where Google fudged an AI demonstration for the sake of marketing hype, it's best to take Tesla's claims with a grain of salt until they are independently verified in practical real-world demonstrations. So Google kind of ruined it for everybody, I guess. With that dose of skepticism in mind, let's take a look at what Tesla is promising in this non-production prototype. And that's the key, it's a prototype. But let's take a look at this. It does look pretty good. This was September 2022 Bumblebee. Then last year, Optimus Gen 1, and March of this year too. And now we're coming to Optimus Gen 2. Yeah, we'll just take a look. Like I said, it's a short video. So all it is some background music. I gather it couldn't do that before. Walking together is much, much better. 30% walk speed boost. Foot force torque sensing, articulated toe sections, 10-kilometer total weight reduction. Improved balance and full body control. That looks pretty good. The kilogram. Faster 10 brand new hands. Tactile sensing on all fingers. You picked up an egg, without breaking it, and put it back down again, too. That, to me, was the most impressive thing. Stay tuned to see what Optimus will do next. Yeah, I didn't try to play the audio this time. dancing. Yeah, I didn't try to play the audio this time because I know it wasn't important to you guys seeing this. So the promotional video opens with a shot of Bumblebee, Tesla's first humanoid prototype from September 2022. Then it shows Optimus Gen 1 from March 2023. And after some teasing shots of, I don't think this is true, of a different robot that the video puts text on the screen that reads, introducing Optimus Gen 2. And I think those quick shots were Optimus Gen 2. That's my opinion. December 2023. As the robot performs various tasks, such as walking slowly, crouching, manipulating eggs without breaking them, and waving its arms, it lists out these features of Gen 2. And it listed these in the video. Tesla design actuators and sensors, 2 degrees of freedom, actuated neck, actuators, integrated electronics, and harnessing, 30% walking speed boost, foot force torque sensing, which is good because the foot moving somewhat like a human is pretty good, and it looked to me like it did. Articulated toe sections, human foot geometry, 10-kilometer total weight reduction, improved balance and foot, full body control, faster and degrees of freedom, brand new hands. Yeah, I guess the hands were a lot better than they used to be. Tactile sensing on all fingers, delicate objects manipulation, holding an egg. So it was kind of impressive. I wish I had seen the original one, but I didn't. As previously mentioned, Optimus Gen 2 is not designed for production or sale. As a prototype, it represents a potential waypoint on a much longer journey to a more functional human robot that Tesla CEO Elon Musk says will be able to do anything that humans don't want to do. I gotta believe that's a long way off. It's destined to be a similar shape and size as humans, so it can replace human labor in a seamless way. Makes sense. Whatever the application, simply swap out a person and insert an Optimus. Yeah, like I said, a ways off, I would think. Given difficulties in engineering, if and when that human labor replacement will actually happen still remains to be seen. But if what's shown in the video is true, it looks like Tesla is making significant progress toward its goal. So just thought it was interesting, and it was kind of the heavy duty of the week, in my opinion, in any case. So, right, nobody else knew yet. So I just thought that was an interesting video to watch. Now, this one is going to end up, I think, being a pretty important story because Epic finally got a win. I just said Epic couldn't beat Apple, but has seemingly triumphed over Google. This was on Tom's Guide. So let's go over there. And now we'll go into our usual going into review. Google loses monopoly case to Epic Games. What the ruling means for you, by Elise Stanley from 2 days ago. Freedom for developers to launch their own app stores could be coming. Yeah, so this could be a very big deal. So let's go to review. Get rid of some of the ads. Okay. Google has lost its antitrust case against Epic Games, giving the Fortnite maker its first big legal win since suing Apple and Google for allegedly running illegal App Store monopolies. The whole kerfuffle is years in the making. Back in 2020, Google and Apple removed Fortnite from their respective app stores after Epic began offering mobile players the option to purchase in-game currency known as V-Bucks directly from Epic. This violated the App Store's policies, which require Apple and Google to get a percentage of these in-game sales on mobile. Google collects a commission ranging from 15 to 30% on digital transactions completed within apps. Epic fired back with dual antitrust lawsuits accusing the tech giants of abusing their power to shield their stores from competition in pursuit of profit using tactics that hurt consumers and developers alike. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports that a federal court has ruled in Epic's favor in its suit against Google. A huge surprise given the game publisher ultimately lost its suit against Apple. I think I know why. We'll discuss that in a minute. That's because Epic versus Google turned out to be a very different case with some key distinctions that can account for the seemingly contradictory rulings. I disagree with what caused the different rulings, but I'll mention that when we get there. A unanimous verdict against Google. But first, a recap of this week's news. A San Francisco federal jury found that Google's Android app, now that's key, federal jury, found Google's Android App Store benefited from anti-competitive barriers that damage both smartphone consumers and app developers. In a unanimous verdict, and that's pretty important that everybody was united on in this, the jury ruled that Google maintained monopoly power by engaging in anti-competitive conduct on its Android app ecosystem and that Epic was injured by this behavior. While it's clearly a win for Epic, exactly what the game publisher has won won't become clear until next year. That's true. U.S. District Judge James Donato, who's presiding over this case, will decide in the second week of January, so more important stuff coming, what the repercussions will be. Epic Games isn't suing for monetary damages, though it stands to make millions or even billions of dollars by circumventing Google's App Store fees, but would like Judge Donato to rule that game developers have total freedom, and this is very important, to create their own app stores and use their own billing systems. And there's the key right there, on Android. Judge Donato, Google, and Epic will reconvene in January to decide how this impacts the Google Play ecosystem. The Wall Street Journal reports. Google's already publicly confirmed plans to appeal the verdict. So, Epic's won, but appeals are still coming. So this fight is far from over. But in the meantime, Epic is celebrating a hard-fought victory. Yes, it was. In a Monday post on its company blog, Epic said, "Today's victory is a win for all app developers and consumers around the world." I totally agree. It proves that Google's App Store practices are illegal and they abuse their monopoly to extract exorbitant fees, stifle competition, and reduce innovation. Now, let's go to key. Why Google failed where Apple succeeded. I disagree the reasoning, but I'll tell you about it. That Epic Games should win against Google, but not Apple, may come as a surprise. After all, the Google Play Store isn't the only name in the game on Android, but one of several mobile storefronts that includes rivals like Samsung, a fact that Google's lawyers frequently cited, I bet you they did, during the case, whereas iOS is a walled garden with only Apple's App Store. So you would have thought they would have had a better chance to win that one. I would have thought. The seemingly contradictory rulings boil down to some key differences in each case. I think it boils down to one difference. For starters, Epic's case against Google was decided by a jury. That's key. While the 2021 ruling in Apple's favor came from a federal judge. Now, am I coming up with a conspiracy theory? I don't think so. But you're talking about Apple, one of the richest companies on earth. How hard is it to bribe one judge as opposed to an entire jury and a judge? That's what I think is the entire difference. Just my opinion. In Apple's case, Judge Juan Gonzalez Rogers ultimately decided that Apple wasn't unfairly monopolizing the iOS ecosystem, and its considerable power and profit margins did not necessarily amount to antitrust conduct, noting that success is not illegal. However, Gonzalez-Rogers did order Apple to remove its anti-steering policy aimed at banning developers from advertising to players their own alternatives to Apple's in-app purchase system. So they got a minor victory there. Secondly, Epic versus Google hinged on some damning accusations against Google specifically. namely that Google's top brass worked to block rival app stores on Android in a secret revenue sharing deal. That's right, that deal did come out between the tech giant, smartphone makers, and game developers. And that Google had it out for Epic Games in particular. I guess they probably proved that. According to internal communication between Google execs cited in the case, the company saw Epic Games' pushback, yeah, they didn't like that, as a contagion effect that threatened to turn Android's biggest game and app developers into agitators. In other words, they were afraid of people will copy it. Looking to avoid fees or ditch the Play Store altogether. Yeah, if they could come up with their own way of paying themselves directly. Google forecasts it stood to lose billions in revenue by the end of 2022 if the threat posed by Epic wasn't curtailed. So what the Epic versus Google really means for you? Well, there's a lot we won't know until next year. This week's win over Google could have serious implications for consumers. I agree. If you have one of the best Android phones, you could see a wider variety of mobile storefronts offered on Android as Google is forced to open up its ecosystem even more than it already has. And I guess the reason they're saying if you have one of the best Android phones, because they would have the money to come up with their own storefront. I guess that's why. Judge Donato has already stated that he will not grant one of Epic's requests. The addition of an anti-circumvention provision just to be sure Google can't reintroduce the same problems through some alternative creative solution, as Epic lead attorney Gary Bornstein phrased it back in November. So the judge isn't going to go along with that, which I thought was kind of strange. But Epic's other two requests, freedom for developers to launch their own app stores on Android without restrictions and freedom to use their own billing systems, I think that's huge, for in-game transactions from players, could be accomplished with a settlement agreement between the two companies. The judge pointed to the fact that Spotify has a similar deal with Google and can use its own billing system for Android users. Yeah, and when it came out that they had done that for Spotify, well, it made it look much worse for Google, in my opinion. In the wake of the Apple ruling, Apple can no longer restrict in-app purchases and has to allow alternative payment methods on iOS. Well, I'm sure the EU would have made sure they did that at some point anyway. For Epic Games, that means selling in-game skins and items from Fortnite to Apple users without having to pay a 30% commission to Apple for each sale. So that's good. Instead, Epic can direct gamers to its own website for those transactions. So that, to me, is kind of a victory right there. Or at least Epic Games could do that if Fortnite was still on the App Store. That's true. Fortnite has remained blocked on the App Store since Apple first kicked it off back in 2020. Yeah, that's true. So, just interesting story, and I'm glad they got their little victory. I hope it sticks, and I hope I think it's going to be pretty monumental for developers, especially anybody who can come up with their own App Store and or their own billing system. So, just very interesting. So to me, that was by far the most interesting story of the week. And I just killed my own webpage. Let's see if I can get it back. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see if I can bring it back up. Let's see. Brian said, so we got to sideload these games. That's true. And he also said that's a valid point. Paid up. Yeah, to me, as soon as I saw that the Apple case was decided by one judge, I don't care male or female, and this case was decided by a judge and a jury, well, it's not easy to bribe one person. Just my opinion. Not saying it happened, but that's just my opinion. Let me go back here and see if I can bring my webpage back up. Okay. Sorry about the slowdown. clicked the wrong button and my web page disappeared. Gee, what a surprise. Okay. And we're back. Okay, nothing else now. I'm glad Brian is commenting because at least it keeps the conversation going, which is great. Oh, Annette is here. Hi, Annette. Didn't see you there. Glad you popped in. Always glad to have you. Again, and that's one of the great faithful ones along with Brian and Eleanor. Okay, so I don't know who that was that popped in earlier. I'm guessing it might have been Ted, but didn't come back, so I'm still watching. All right, back to our stories, back to sharing screen. Then I got my web page back. Okay. So, like I said, I thought that was the big. Now, I threw this picture up here, and Ford Super Duty Rescue Cybertruck. This just shows that it almost had it pulled all the way up. Now, wherever I grabbed this picture from, they did say in their article, and don't even ask me who it was. I just took a quick look at it because I was looking for a picture like this. They did say because of the steepness of the hill in the snow, probably any truck would have gotten stuck there. So, it's not specific to the Cybertruck, but I just thought it was funny after last week's big unveiling that a Ford Super Duty had to pull it out. So this is only a few seconds, don't need any sound, but I just thought it was kind of hilarious. This was on X. So here it is. And as you can see, there's a big bump. It can't get up there. And that Super Duty Ford is pulling it right there. You can see, it starts to pull it up, and then they show it up here. So I just thought it was hilarious, and after all the hoopla we had about it, and I just wanted to stick it in there. So don't really have a story about it. And I agree with them. Any truck could have gotten stuck on that hill in that snow, but it was just, and the only thing on the Cybertruck is one Christmas tree. So just kind of funny. Brian says, haha, not saying it happened, but Uncle Tim wired some cash coincidentally. That's funny. So I just thought, pardon me, it was a cute story. Well, not really a story, it's just a cute happenstance, let's call it. So we'll move on. And even though I'm all excited for the OnePlus 12 next month, and I'm almost certain going to get it, it's got some problems since it's unveiling in China. So let's go over it. This is on Digital Trends. This was from 4 days ago. There's already something wrong with the OnePlus 12 by Nadeem Sarwar. So let's go into review, get rid of some of these ads. Early next year. Oh yeah, and I told you we got the official date today. I can't remember where I read it, but the official release date is going to be the 23rd of next month. And that's a Tuesday, which means I'll be off work, so that's good. Early next year, OnePlus will release its new flagship phone, the OnePlus 12, in the global market. But merely a few days after hitting the shelves in China, multiple users have shared images highlighting what looks like manufacturing defects on their OnePlus 12 units. And this, I think, is probably very true, at least I hope. The issue, which could very well be a quality control flub for a specific batch, and I hope it's just for that batch, manifests as a gap between the camera module and the rest of the frame. So there's a gap there. In a few cases, buyers are also reporting a visible wedge between the curved rear glass shell and the metal frame. The incidents were first reported by Android Authority. Let's see, do we have the pictures here? No, so I got to drop out a review to let you see that, I think. Okay, yeah. So here's a picture. There's 3 pictures. I can't see it here, but I guess there's some separation there. And here they're showing it. And then the next one, it's the circle that so you can see it right there. So just very interesting. So I think those are and once again, pretty obvious here. So, and I think those are the only pictures we got. So let's go back to reader view. A gap in the frame usually appears when the battery inside has swollen. That's true. But since it's a new phone, that scenario appears unlikely, highly unlikely. Another report on the Chinese microblogging platform Weibo mentions excessive glue oozing out of the gap. Wow. We previously reported about a similar issue plaguing the owners of Samsung's foldable phones. Yeah, I remember that, especially the Z Fold series. Now, going from the history of similar defects in new devices, smartphone brands have usually offered a quick replacement. Let's hope. It won't be surprising to see OnePlus doing the same, especially considering the flagship status of the device and the risks of avoiding a pre-launch bad press. That's true. One of the reports also claims that the OnePlus 12 owner found, get this, a dead bug in the phone's rear glass. Not good. No, that is not a joke. So when OnePlus has a dead insect inside the glass, what kind of quality measures OnePlus is taking while manufacturing OnePlus 12? Good question. So like it said, I hope it's just the one batch. Interestingly, this won't be the first time that OnePlus users have reported about gaps on their OnePlus phones. Multiple reports on Reddit, the official OnePlus community forum dating as far back as 2018. So I guess this would have been the OnePlus 7 Pro days. Mentioned the issue of a wedge appearing on the side or periphery of the camera module. I don't remember that. The most recent example is the OnePlus Nord CE3 Lite. Yeah, I have the regular Nord here. That OnePlus honored a replacement request without a fuss. That's good. It's rather surprising, however, that reports of build-related defects affecting the OnePlus 12 have surfaced online so quickly. That's true also. It's also somewhat startling because OnePlus puts a special emphasis on the design of its phones and recently talked extensively about the meticulous attention to detail on the OnePlus Open. They have been talking about that quite a bit. And I think the Open is unbelievably great. My own experience hasn't been too different, especially with the gorgeous OnePlus 11 Marble Odyssey Edition and the leather-clad OnePlus Open. I have the leather-clad OnePlus Open also, which has fared far better at avoiding scuff marks and dents than any Samsung foldable I've ever used. That's good to know. As far as the OnePlus 12 goes, it's packed to the gills. Yeah, this is why I'm excited. For a converted asking price of around $600, that's what the China release would convert to. I'm guessing it's going to be more here. It offers a bright 120 hertz OLED screen, Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 Silicon, a triple camera setup with a periscope zoom lens, and support for 100-watt charging. The stateside launch of the phone is happening on the first quarter of 24, and as I told you, it's the 23rd, as per official teasers. So I'm glad we got the official date. So, just had to be honest about it. Yes, I'm planning to buy it. I hope that's just a one batch problem and that they make it right and everything is good. But just thought I should let that story get out there. Not showing any favoritism just because I've fallen in love with OnePlus lately. Brian saying, yeah, I hope OnePlus fixes these quality control issues. I absolutely hope so, and I really, really hope it's just the one batch that has the issue. And, it could be just, batches or a batch they release in China, which probably wouldn't be released in any other part of the world anyway. So let's hope that's the case. So nothing new other than that in the comments. Thank God for Brian. All right. Now, this one I just found. This is one of those interesting stories that you're probably not going to hear a lot about. Both Google and Apple may be forced to give governments, ours and others, your push notification data. So it's not just our government that they could force them. They could force them to give it to other governments too, according to the law, I guess. And this was on Tom's Guide. And this was just over a week ago. Yeah. Apple and Google confirm governments could be spying on your push notifications, what you need to know, by Josh Render, published on the 7th. A very concerning link. I totally agree. Let's go into review. There we go. It's possible that governments have been spying on our smartphone usage through our iOS and Android push notifications, according to an investigation conducted by U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, thank you, Ron Wyden, and reported to the Department of Justice. Senator Wyden warned in his letter that both Apple and Google can be compelled, I guess by law, to release push notification data. Wyden's letter explains, which can contain metadata that is of interest to governments, and that's what's concerning. This can detail the app. Yeah, they can get a lot of information here. This can detail the app, the device, and the account of the person who received the notification, but could also contain other unencrypted content, including app backend functions or the actual text that has been sent to the user. So you would think with push notifications, they wouldn't get a whole lot of information, but based on this, yeah, they can get quite a bit of information about you and know who you are from it. Both Apple and Google stated to Wyden's team that, now get this, due to a gag order from the federal government, they never want us to know anything. They were prevented from sharing any information about requests relating to push notification data. So if Apple and Google get requests to give push notification data, which I gather they have to do, the federal government won't even let them tell us about it, which I think is really crappy. The letter cited a tip as the source of the information, but would not elaborate on who the tipper is. Tippers tend to get thrown in jail unfairly. However, another source familiar with the matter confirmed to Reuters that both foreign and U.S. government agencies have been asking Apple and foreign and U.S. government agencies have been asking Apple and Google for metadata related to push notifications. The source would not confirm which foreign countries were involved in making the request, but has described them as democracies allied to the United States. My first suspicion, that would be Great Britain, but who knows? As we discovered in our last video, unboxing and reviewing fake Apple products from Temu, you can find all kinds of, oh no, this was not good, no. Okay, here's where it continues. Senator Wyden has called for the government to either repeal or modify policies that hinder public discussion about it. Yeah, I totally agree. So he's saying they should have to tell us about this stuff. While Apple, meanwhile, has claimed that with this information now being publicly available, it will aim to be more transparent about reporting these kinds of requests, as they should. It has since updated its law enforcement guidelines, which is their PDF document, to inform the public how push notifications can be used, and this information may be obtained with a subpoena or greater legal process. Google, too, said it would make a commitment to keeping users informed about those requests in line with Senator Wyden. So, yeah, Wyden's trying to get the law changed so that they have to tell us at least who's requesting. However, the Department of Justice has declined to comment. Yeah, the government's not just our government, no government. They don't want to tell us anything on the push notification surveillance, or if it had indeed enforced a gag order, which of course they did, on both Apple and Google. So turning off push notifications is your only option. At least there is an option. Push notifications are one of those things that we as users never really think about. Yeah, you have to go through steps to do it. They are the most commonly used method for many apps to receive messages from a central source, which will often pass through a Google or Apple server on its way to you. As they have to be allowed to work by the user, in other words, by us, and as such represent a lot of user interest and thoughts, they're an ideal surveillance target. In other words, they can tell a lot about you from it. The statements in Apple's law enforcement guidelines suggest that turning off the push notifications will stop this data being transferred at the expense of not getting pings when a new message or update appears. So you turn them off, well, you're not going to be getting your notifications. So it's a very hard place. On Apple, this is as simple as going into the Settings app, selecting notifications, and then toggling them off for each app. So you have to do it individually. Meanwhile, Android users can go into the Setting app and then notifications. From that menu, they can go into Manage App Notifications. So you got to go through some steps. They can deselect individual apps, again, one by one. This may be different depending on the model of the phone used. Both Google and Apple claiming that they are aiming to be more open, yet claiming, who knows if it's true, with how data is used is a good sign. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, so I guess they're telling the truth. However, the concerning use of an alleged gag order, needs to be monitored and investigated. I hope the senator investigates it, as does the possibility of surveillance via push notifications in general. So I'm glad Senator Wyden was it? Yeah, I'm glad he's on this because he needs to get this passed so we can at least see who's requesting what. So I just thought that was kind of an important story. Let's see what new comments we've got in here. Brian, government and all business. And this is the problem. It's not just our government, as we saw, from COVID. All these governments all think they have the right to dig into our business, Britain, all of them. And they don't think we should have any right to keep our business from them. So it's becoming a global government issue. I don't think it's tied to us or any other government in particular. So I've got, nobody else came in. I've got one more story. What am I doing? I want to share screen again. Okay. Down to our last story. Again, I think this one's a little bit old, but I thought it was kind of important. Avoid public phone charging stations. Now, some of you may have already known about this, but I don't see why we shouldn't keep putting it out there for anybody who doesn't. And this was on CNN.com. And this was from, a long time ago, but it was April of this year, but I hadn't put it out there before, so I just thought you guys should know about it, just in case you didn't. FBI wants consumers not to use public phone charging stations. The FBI is warning consumers against using phone charging stations in order to avoid exposing their devices to malicious software. Oh, and I should go into reader view. There we go. No, reader view does not work on this one. Occasionally, it doesn't work on some, so this is one of the ones it doesn't work on. Okay. Public USB stations like the kind found at malls and airports are being used by bad actors to spread malware and monitoring software. So they're using this stuff to spread this stuff. According to a tweet last week in April from the FBI Denver's branch, the agency did not provide specific examples. Carry, get this, and this is what Brian does, where Brian's smart. Carry your own charger and USB cord to use, and use an electrical outlet instead the agency advising this. And I do carry chargers with me when I'm at work. So I usually, don't need to charge my phone when I'm at work, but couldn't hurt to carry it. So don't use public ones. While public charging stations are attractive to many when devices are running critically low on battery, security experts have for years raised concerns about the risk. In 2011, researchers coined the term juice jacking. I never heard that term to describe the problem. Just by plugging your phone into a compromised power strip or charger, your device is now infected, and that compromises all your data. Drew Pike, formerly of security from Authentic 8, explained to CNN in 2017. So people have known about this for a long time. I didn't know it was this widespread. The cord you use to charge your phone is also used to send data from your phone to other devices. For instance, when you plug your iPhone into your Mac with the charging cord, you can download photos from your phone to your computer. Well, they can do the same thing when you're in a public one. If a port is compromised, there's no limit to what information a hacker could take. Pike previously explained to CNN. This includes your email, text messages, photos, and contacts. So they can get a lot. The FBI regularly provides reminders and public service announcements in conjunction with our partners. Vicky Migoya, public affairs officer at the FBI's Denver branch, told CNN. This was a general reminder for American public to stay safe and diligent, especially when traveling. Good time of year that I put this out, right? The federal government, the Federal Communications Commission also updated a blog post on Tuesday, wrote that a corrupted charging port can allow a malicious actor to lock a device. That's pretty scary stuff. Or extract personal data and passwords. In some cases, criminals may have intentionally left cables plugged in at charging stations. Sure, your battery's way down, you're in an airport. Oh, there's a cable right there plugged in. Well, then you're probably going to get infected. There have even been reports of infected cables being given away as promotional gifts. Yeah, I'm sure they would. So just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. Maybe you were already. Just thought it was important to bring it up again, especially this time of year. So that's my last story of today. And whoever it was that popped in didn't come back in. So basically, you just had me tonight, folks. So I hope you enjoyed the stories. I hope you found some of them interesting. And next week, I don't know if we have any heavy-duty stories, but I'll always try to get the interesting stuff to you guys and keep you informed of the heavy-duty stuff that other people may have told you about and stories that I find interesting, and I think you might also. So, like I tell you every week, I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend. Glad you guys were here. Annette, Eleanor, Brian, thanks very much as always. And let's always remember we all do better when we love each other. So we'll see you next week, folks.